I really cannot believe what I'm hearing and reading about with this whole college scam. I mean, like it's really disturbing, because you have parents, right? Talk about setting the absolute worst example, right? Now, for some kids, they had no idea that they did this for them, right? And now they're finding out that basically all their accomplishments up to this point were on the foundation of a lie. So you got into Harvard, you got into Yale, that's awesome, but you really don't belong there. Like many of those kids are just finding out about this. I feel for them, right? But I also feel for the kids who knew that their parents were doing this for them. And I guarantee you, none of them went to their parents and said, hey, let's have this big elaborate scheme, let's defraud, let's cheat to get me into these schools, right? Their parents went to them, it was their idea, and they had to go along with it. And so I can imagine there's some level of damage done to them where all their accomplishments that they've achieved to this point, knowing, it was, based off of lies, or at least the beginning was based off of lies, also just says that, wow, like my mom, my dad, they really didn't have confidence in me, so they cooked up this scheme to help me get to where I need to be. Like, I think there's some harm that's going to happen to them, so I think and pray for them too, but like, college coaches, like the whole thing is a mess, and all I'm saying is we need to send a message that this is not acceptable. We always talk about accountability, and society always wants to bang on these kids. They always want to talk about how they're entitled and all this stuff. Well, I always say that who's raising them? That's the question I always ask, and people say, well, these kids are entitled and da-da-da. They don't know how to work hard. My response is always, well, who's raising these kids? And this is a classic example of parents just not wanting their kids to compete. Like, straight up. You don't even want your kids to compete. You just want everything given to them. You're afraid of your kid catching an L. You're afraid of your kid having a little bit of failure in their life. So you're going to go and give somebody $500,000, $600,000 to cheat the system? And then you're going to write it off as a donation? You're sick if you do that. And if you do that, you need to pay the price. I don't want to hear no plea deals. I don't want to hear, 6 months probation, house arrest. No. We need to send a message not only to the adults, but to our kids, right? That there are consequences for bad decisions. And we need to have, these kids need to, and student athletes, whoever, they need to see these adults, right? They need to see them do the perp walk. They need to see them in handcuffs, dragged off to jail. And I'm not saying these parents can't be redeemed, these coaches can't be redeemed. I'm not saying they need to be buried underneath the jail for the rest of their lives, but damn it, they need to spend some time in jail. A year, 2 years. For the ringleader, a good 10 years, right? Because there's also tax evasion, there's fraud, right? Think about all the other kids who worked hard, whose spots were, don't even get me started. My point is this. You want to talk about accountability, you want to talk about, sending a message, here's the chance right now. Right now, this moment, this needs to become a teachable moment. And adults need to be, they need to be put through it. And I'm talking about handcuffs, I want the perp walk, and I want jail time. Anything short of that, and it's a missed opportunity, in my opinion. Unbelievable.